With Columbina being just a few days away, I'm sure many players are wondering if they should pull for her, and that's what your friendly neighborhood Genshin Impact player is here to help you do. In this video, we're going to be going over why Columbina is really strong in her role, just so you can get a gist of what she does do, and then reasons why you should or should not summon for her. So of course, first talking about Columbina, what does she do, what is her role, what is her main priority on teams? As we know, Notcry has been the start of the brand new Lunar reactions. There's Lunar Electro Charged, there is Lunar Bloom, and now there's the upcoming Lunar Crystallize. 3 Lunar reactions, we might get more in the future, we have to wait and see, we probably will. Nonetheless, Columbina directly ties into these teams, even if you're not doing like the generic Lunar team with the Lunar made in mind DPS like Flynn's, Nefer, so on. She will be on those teams, she will be on the ones that are more unconventional, like if you do a Lunar reaction Nouvellette, a Bloom team that isn't really Nefer related, but also just overall Hyper Bloom with Lalma. Columbina's point is she is going to be on every single one of these Lunar teams because she is that good for them. She universally supports every single Lunar reaction. She's also an enabler for these Lunar reactions as well, so you can also just put her on the team to enable them, but of course you'd usually pair her alongside another Notcry character for the Gleam stuff. Since if you don't know, if you have one Notcry character on the team, you have Nascent Gleam, which is the weaker version, and then if you have 2, that is the Ascendant Gleam, which is the one you want. So she functions as that as well, so usually you'd pair her alongside either Inefa, you pair her alongside Lalma, even the DPS's count, so on and so forth. Not only is she going to be a support for these Lunar reactions, but she also is a Hydro sub off-field DPS, so she is able to do Hydro damage off-field. When you use her skill, she awakens Moonbound Tides, healing AoE Hydro damage and summoning Gravity Ripple. Gravity Ripple will follow the active character on the field while continuously dealing AoE Hydro damage to surrounding opponents. And then while having Gravity Ripple, you can have a special kind of gravity, where you accumulate more and more based off the amount of Lunar reactions you are doing with your team, and then reaching that gravity limit will do damage based off the Lunar reaction that has accumulated the most gravity for Columbina. And as I mentioned previously with Nascent Gleam and Ascendant Gleam actually will make the AoE Hydro damage have a wider area. So not only is she, again, buffing all this Lunar stuff, which we'll get into in a little bit, that is her main thing, she's also doing constant AoE Hydro damage off-field as well, so that's really good for the reactions for especially Bloom and also Electro Charge, since all really there was just Aino. So she is actually a very big upgrade to Aino in a sense as well. Her ultimate, it's just doing AoE Hydro damage, but the main thing is you're going to activate a Lunar Domain. This is where we get into the actual direct upgrades to this Lunar damage. First, let's talk about the Lunar Domain stuff. It ties into one of her passives. For Lunar Charge, when a Thundercloud performs lightning strikes against a valid target, it has a 33% chance to perform an additional lightning strike. When triggering Lunar Bloom reactions, the party receives a special Moonridge Dew, holding up to 3 every 18 seconds. And for Lunar Crystallize, when Moondrift Harmony is triggered, every Moondrift has a 33% chance to inflict an extra attack. So within this Lunar Domain activated by our ultimate, not only is the ultimate going to do very solid damage, it's also going to create this domain for your actual Lunar effects to do even more than they normally do. So that also adds up to more damage over time. Some of them, as you can tell, are chance related, but if you're lucky and you're a gambler, which is why you play Genshin Impact, you are going to mess with those odds. And all the numbers going around with the screen, how many times you're hitting, you're probably going to activate it more than you think. And then probably the most important passive that I should probably just read out to you so you understand. When a party member triggers a Electro Charge Bloom Hydro Crystallize reaction, it will be converted to a Lunar Charge Lunar Bloom Lunar Crystallize reaction. Lunar reaction damage inflicted by party members gain a base damage increase based on Columbia's max HP. For every 1000 points of max HP, the base damage of Lunar reactions is increased by 0.2% up to a maximum of 7%. So you want to build a solid amount of HP on her, which is something I should have mentioned in the beginning. My apologies, but yes, Columbina is an HP scaler if you didn't know. So with all this, that is practically the gist of what she does do. As you can see, she is going to be very, very important to these actual Lunar teams. She is a great upgrade whether you're doing a more wheelchair-esque comp or a proper comp with like Nefer or Flynn's. Really any combination of Lunar teams, and also the upcoming character Zibai, she also is going to use Columbina. There are variants where you don't use her, but you know, of course, usually these Lunar teams for now are always going to want her. So Columbina's roles, she is a off-field Hydro DPS as well. So Columbina's roles, she is a sub DPS that inflicts Hydro damage off-field, which is going to be very, very crucial for these reactions. It's going to be at a better rate than Aino as well, so more Hydro up for that. Damage she does is also going to be really solid, so that's also a big plus side for overall damage in a rotation. Is able to activate a Lunar Domain for special effects for these Lunar characters, and then of course is able to buff the Lunar reaction damages themselves to, of course, make your team's overall damage even higher for the Lunar reactions. Another big thing about her ultimate actually as well is, besides the Lunar Domain and also doing damage, it actually does increase lunar reaction damage with the ultimate itself as well. So that is also something important to know. Just with the ultimate, you are able to increase lunar reaction damage. Now, reasons why you should or should not summon. This time it is quite simple. As you can very much tell from Columbia's kit, she is very centric on these lunar reactions. So if you use lunar reactions really in any way, shape, or form, Columbina is going to be a usually definitive option on those teams. Again, as I mentioned during the parts of talking about her kit, it doesn't actually necessarily have to be with the DPSs that are purely made with lunar reactions in mind. It could be more of the wheelchair-esque teams as well. So if you're running like Inefa alongside Columbina and then Nouvellette as the main DPS / enabler for that, that's going to be a great option. If you're running a Bloom team that isn't focused around someone like Nefer, but rather just the Hyper Bloom portion with Lalma, Columbina, and then whoever, even something like Nilo Bloom, those cases also would apply for someone that should pick up Columbina. If you plan on getting into the Lunar Crystallize stuff, whether you're doing that with someone like Ito and not just Jibai, because Jibai's main source of damage is going to be the Lunar Crystallize stuff. So even if you're trying to do stuff with someone like Ito or whatever GO DPS you may own, in those cases, Columbina would be a really good pickup as well. So realistically, it's just in any case of you doing a Lunar type team. It, again, can be on the more unconventional side of things where the DPS can be performing strong, and this is especially true for if you actually are running the proper Lunar DPS. So if you're using Flynn's, if you're using Nefer, or if you're planning to use Zibai, those characters are like the biggest ones you really want to consider. Obviously, with the addition of Columbina, it actually seems like Nefer and Flynn specifically, I don't know about Jibai on the top of my head, for calc damage overall, actually might have the highest damage overall in the game in a rotation. She is a very big upgrade over Aino, and just has so much value if you do have these characters and you use them, or even the unconventional side. So nonetheless, if you want to do anything Lunar related, if you plan on doing it, she will still be a good pickup for you to have. Maybe you skip the first initial battles of these characters, but you want to get maybe Flynn's on a rerun, Nefer on a rerun, maybe you have Lalma and that's about it, and you want to pick up Nefer on a rerun, so on and so forth. Or you're waiting for Jibai and you want to use teams with her as well. In those cases, really, I would recommend picking up Columbina. She is going to be fantastic for any account leaning into Lunar reactions. Now, reasons why you should not pull is really just the opposite. If you're someone maybe skipping out on the Lunar reactions entirely, maybe you're just sticking with the Malvico Skirk teams, maybe you're running traditional Nouvellette teams as well still, really just any case where you're not wanting to use a Lunar addition to your team, like maybe you just don't want to pull for a Nefa, you don't want to pull for Lalma, you don't have a reason to run any of their teams, maybe you just don't have any Bloom whatsoever, you don't want to run Lunar Electro Charged stuff, it really just becomes the fact that the only reason you should skip is if you're not interested in Lunar reactions whatsoever. Because even if you were interested in, and you were like, oh, I want to pick up Columbina, but I don't have any other character, there are combinations you can do. And then, of course, it would just be the best character to pick up before you get into the Lunar reaction stuff. Like, again, you could just pull for all the characters I mentioned on a rerun. But if you truly don't really plan on getting into any of the Lunar reaction stuff, then, of course, there's not really any point to pull for the character that's going to be universally good on the Lunar reaction stuff, mainly because outside of Lunar reactions, you're not really going to use Columbina. So, if you're someone who just, again, doesn't plan on using Lunar reaction teams, you don't want to get into them, you don't really have any combinations now, like, again, you're missing all the characters that enable it, and you just don't have any wants to get into it, then in that case, feel free to skip. And that does bring this video to a close, a lot shorter this time because it's very simple to pick whether you want it or not, and also understanding your kit is relatively simple. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this. Check the description to join the Discord, and I'll see you later. Peace out.